the story that is coming up. This is not a new scam. Tell us what happened here, Lance.
Well, I'm going to try to represent Delaney today. She's, like I said, heading off to support her sister. They're both my daughters, by the way. But my middle daughter's running her first half marathon, and Delaney's going to support that. And she sent me a text and she said, Dad, this morning at 7 o'clock, please read the Fraud Friday story. now I know why.
Now you know
but there are 5 individuals who were indicted for obtaining SBA loans improperly. They were charged under the Financial Crime Kingpin Statute, which this is the first of its nature related to SBA lending, and it's a old story and a new story. These guys would gather up family members. They would start straw entities. They would buy a hotel, turn around and flip that hotel to another entity that had some family members involved. And so they were buying and reselling hotel properties using SBA financing. And there's an affiliation issue with what they were doing because
that's the problem.
They were hiding the knowledge of who the owners of the entities were. Thus, I assume SBA had well over the $5 million cap in SBA lending involved in this. They got about $35 million in total in SBA loans. And if you went back and looked at all $35 million of the loans, they were probably all affiliated. And they also conspired to conduct equity injection fraud. They had they had an account that they used for equity injection. And, I teach the equity injection class webinar, and it was classic. What they would do is they would submit false wire transfer information, false account information. The money would go into the business, and immediately when the SBA loan closed, the money would come back out to that account. So a very interesting story where, again, they bought and sold multiple hotels. There was common ownership in all of them. So they committed fraud on several different levels: equity injection fraud, affiliation issues, false documentation, and so they got charged. Like I said, they got charged under the, and sorry that I'm looking away because I'm trying to read it and make sure. They were charged under the Financial Kingpin Act.
Kingpins.
So haven't heard that one before, but it was a very complicated case, but they certainly did a good job of figuring out what they did and charging them with fraud. And there was a total of 1, 2, 3, 4. There were 5 different individuals that were involved in this process, and all probably were owners of various entities that were involved. And this is not, we heard these stories in the past where you'd have an individual who would buy a hotel and turn around and sell it to their children, who would turn around and sell it to a third cousin.
This is not that situation.
No, this is completely different. They created fake entities. They created false equity injections, and they certainly probably violated the maximum loan size to a SBA borrower. So very interesting case. Got charged or indicted under that financial kingpin law. So again, a very interesting case of fraud, and it's really nice, guys, to move away from PPP fraud for 1 week. I'm sure we'll be back next week. But
Lance, what I find interesting, this is the same thing that happened 20 years ago, 25 years ago with the old BLX. Same type of fraud where you had 5 individuals. One would have 50%, the rest would all have 10%. And they multiplied it. But what's fascinating is what happened 20 years ago was all that happened was that SBA would say, we're going to deny the guarantee.
Yeah.
And that was it. Today, 20 years down the line, now you're seeing indictments, which you didn't see in the past. You're seeing indictments of borrowers and also of lenders. And what may have been a false claim or denial of guarantee 20 years ago, the stakes have raised much more with criminal penalties. So that is that's fascinating from that.
Well, I would
from that situation.
encourage, Bob, all of our participant lenders. Coleman sends this out. It was sent out earlier today. Please take the time to read it. I have it posted on my LinkedIn page. Take the time to read this, because there's a lesson to be learned about affiliation issues, equity injection fraud, and a lesson to be learned about vetting out your borrowers.
Christina, I notice you haven't said anything, so I'm going to speak for you. Christina is against fraud. How's that sound?
Yeah, that's accurate. Thank you.
Okay, I know it's. I will get you on record of that. We're not ignoring you, but I just.
Yep.
But that, you're right, Lance. That's why we need to know who the affiliates are. We know who all the minor owners are, and equity injection fraud. In the past, equity injection fraud would be denial of guarantees. Now they're going straight to indictments.